So yeah, I'll just get started. For those of you who don't know, if you haven't been at some of the other sessions that I've been at, I'm Easkey Britton. I'm a surfer and a marine social scientist and author of a new book, Saltwater in the Blood. So it comes out September 14th. It's available to pre-order in the States by Penguin Random House, or you can visit on my website, easkeybritton.com, to order it from anywhere in the world. And yeah, I guess what I wanted to do is share a short excerpt from a chapter called Blue Mindfulness. So it builds on discussions I would have had yesterday's session with Cliff Capono and Dr. Wallace J. Nichols about blue health and blue mind. But really, saltwater in the blood, to give a bit of context first, as opposed to who I am. It speaks to my relationship primarily with surfing. It draws on surfing as a really powerful metaphor for life. So much can be learned, I feel, from, at least I've applied it in my life anyways, so much can be learned from surfing that translates back into how we can live and lead more resilient, more holistic and connected lives. And that's what Saltwater in the Blood speaks to, both that relationship with surfing, how we can reconnect or restore our connection with nature and wild places, in particular the sea. Also touches on natural cycles, living a more cyclical life, so honoring the ebb and flow, and especially the sea's power to heal. It's such a core part of my work and what I do. And this excerpt from chapter Blue Mindfulness in the book speaks to my experiences, in particular as a big wave surfer. So in Ireland, I was the first woman to surf and pioneer some of the big wave spots we have here. Moor is one, Cliffs of Moher at Aileen's. Was the first woman in Europe to be nominated for the WSL World Surfing League Big Wave Awards 2011, so like a decade ago. So kind of at the vanguard of pioneering big wave surfing in Ireland back then. And it speaks to this kind of process I went on to cultivate, I guess, mindfulness as a way to cope in those high stress situations of big wave surfing. So thanks everyone for joining. And as I said at the start, I'm just going to share a short 7-minute reading, and there'll be a chance at the end to kind of ask me anything that this might spark for you. And it's such a privilege and honor to share this. It's my first live reading, first time putting it out in the world, and the book will be published worldwide September 14th. Blue Mindfulness from Saltwater in the Blood. Surfing for me is a powerful exchange of energies between salt water and body surface. The salt water of our blood is a great energy conductor. When surfing, it sometimes feels as if electrical impulses of energy are firing across synapses beneath the skin in response to the waves of energy pulsing through the ocean. It is like an embodied mindfulness practice, the act of doing something with your whole being. It also helps me understand the meaning of connection or connectedness, how surfing demands a letting go of expectations and requires our total presence in the moment, so that we begin to take notice of our surroundings, to be a little awed and humbled through direct contact with nature. It's as if the salt water literally dissolves the stress, worries, or fears that we carry on land, the barriers we put up within ourselves and the world outside. It comes back to tapping into that state of presence. If I'm distracted or uncertain, if there's anything I haven't dealt with, it really plays out on those big days. In that way, it's almost like therapy. My mindfulness practice has helped me be really present with whatever it is I'm feeling, and to be okay with that. To understand it's okay to feel that way. In preparation, how and where I direct my attention really matters. By focusing on the practical aspects I can control, my breath, my equipment, how I feel my body, checking the jet ski, it helps me get grounded. The safety checks are essential, but it's not so much the checking as the ritual. That's what signifies to my mind what I'm moving toward and that I have to get into the right headspace. On the days when it all aligns, I observe the ocean, but no longer analyze it, instead perceiving the shifting power of the elements through all my bodily sensations. This renewed attentiveness allows me to experience the sea from within my body, as part of it all, no longer questioning my place. This notion of presence is strongly woven into ancient Gaelic and Celtic worldviews. My father, an artist, draws heavily on these Celtic sources for inspiration for his pen and ink drawings. One of my favorites is of an anonymous surfer clad in a black hooded wetsuit at the apex of the wave as it is about to break, pointing the surfboard down its face. This is the takeoff, the moment of commitment for the surfer that demands total presence. It is a point of no return. Dad was inspired by the Song of Amergine, an ancient poem, and legend has it, the first words ever uttered in Ireland. Amergine was the chief poet and druid of the Milesians, the first people to arrive in Ireland long ago, around 8000 BC. Legend tells how the Tuatha De Danann, otherworldly beings, conjured a powerful storm to try to prevent Amergine coming ashore. Amergine turned his boat out to sea and waited for the 9th wave, before catching the wave and steering the boat safely to shore, landing on Ireland for the first time. The song begins, I am wind on ocean, I am swelling wave, I am roar of sea. Later in the verse there is a line, I am because everything else is. I am everything, and everything is in me. This invocation of our interdependence with all things is a belief that is common across many Indigenous cultures and ancient spiritual traditions. In my dad's drawing, he captures this in a hidden detail of the sea spray, depicting the unseen forces, creatures and energy of the ocean, and perhaps some of Amergine's poetry, emotion and fear that the surfer surrenders to as he commits to the wave. What is most striking about the drawing is a ferocious sea dragon that is snaking like a bullet from the belly of the wave toward the surfer with its mouth open wide. This is the other unseen force in surfing and the sea. In order to be present to the constant unfolding of the unknown, this kind of surrender to the moment requires an equal acceptance and letting go of any reward, victory, or dominance over the force of the wave. At this moment of taking the drop, there is an acceptance of the real possibility of failure, being swallowed whole by the wave, or being caught by that sea dragon. The lines of movement of the surfer and the wave are woven together until there is no separation between self, surfboard, and wave energy. Instead, all the components, human, surfboard, weather process, swell, sea, wind, tide, lunar cycle, rocky reef, sea creature, are the never-ending threads of a complex weave, contributing to the story of the surfed wave. A story that leaves no imprint on the ocean once the ride has ended and the wave has broken. Alongside this experience of blue mindfulness, fear is a constant companion, a kind of primal energy. But instead of feeding the chatter in my head, in this embodied state, I can use the fear as a call to really listen to myself, on the good days at least. And it's also a call to listen to my surroundings, to what the wind is telling me by the way it begins to ruffle the surface of the water out of the sea, or how the water can tell me which way the undercurrents are pulling by the patterns and swirls they make. If the seabirds suddenly turn on the wing and move together in large flocks from open water to the shelter of the bay, or even further inland toward the coastal mountain valleys, then I know the storm front is fast approaching from beyond the horizon. This attentive approach demands care and respect for every living element, both seen and unseen. So I think I'll leave it there, and I really welcome any comments, questions. I see Martin is there. Martin, I don't know if you want to hop on. I can bring you on stage, as it were. Really lovely to have you here. Thanks, Emily, for your comments. It's great to hear. Yeah, and let's see if we can bring you on for the fun of it. Nope, that didn't work. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. What to say to that? I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I guess it's just a kind of example of, in terms of a lesson learned through surfing around interdependence and what it means to actually be connected and part of this living system, especially the ocean system, but to feel that in an embodied way, in a visceral way. It's not just an intellectual way. And so that's what I'm trying to convey with the book, Saltwater in the Blood. And it speaks to what I know Jay Nichols and I spoke about as well, and why we write, is a way to take some of that, I suppose, how do you translate the awe and wonder experience in the ocean and communicate that, like to bring that back ashore, and to take maybe an essence of that away and try to describe it and share it with others. And that's kind of the attempt of what I'm doing here with Saltwater in the Blood. Dave has a question. And Martin, if you want to come back on, let me know. Yeah, I'd love to hear the meditation on process, waves of consequences versus small, medium-sized paddle outs. Interesting one. Meditation point, because I really believe that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned from surfing, how it's so much about the process and letting go of the outcome. But the context for me, I suppose, with big wave surfing, I felt a real kind of almost magnetic pull towards it, but realizing psychologically it takes a lot of training to actually be present and not want to jump out of your skin when you're confronted with oncoming 20-30 foot waves. But this, maybe you can elaborate a bit more on it, Dave, as well. But it's about, I find, in a way where I'm at right now, maybe also I'm noticing my relationship with surfing in the sea is evolving as I move through my own life cycle. So I'm going through these kind of different stages and phases, from competitive surfer and being focused on that energy and the technique, and catching as many waves as I could, to then obviously taking on the big waves and wanting that kind of immersion, to now working in a way where it's more about that healing and therapeutic benefit. Okay, so I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks so much. It was lovely to give voice to that and put it out there, a little bit of the story. More to come. And thanks everyone for joining.